Hello, hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending from where you're joining. We're seeing a few folks come in, so please allow us 5 minutes as we prepare ourselves to kick this session off. Hello, hi everyone. Hope I'm loud and clear. If there's any issues with hearing me or seeing me, please feel free to let me know via the chat option. My name is Gunjan Saha, and thank you so much for taking the time out and joining us today. As we have curated some very interesting content for you to give you a broad overview of what are the emerging opportunities are for supply sourcing and procurement from India. A bit about me, I have led marketing and startups for a little over 6 years and helped companies scale from 2 million to 25 million, from Series A to Series B to Series C. And joining me today in this conversation is Mohammed Maqsood, the founder and CEO of Custiv, and Naveen Pradeepan, who heads manufacturing here at Custiv. Maqsood has been involved in a lot of interesting projects, but I think the biggest highlight of his career till date has been the involvement in building India's Mars mission, the Mangalyaan mission. And Naveen has extensive knowledge of India's manufacturing industry, for he travels a lot. And when I say a lot, it really means covering from north to south, from west to the east. He manages our supply base of over 1,200 vendor partners spread across the country. In this webinar, we want to give you an overview of what are the new emerging opportunities from India's supply chain. But before that, talk a bit about what is Custiv and what Custiv does. Custiv is a leading end-to-end single source manufacturing platform for high quality custom manufacturing needs. Our clients include the likes of HMH, KSB, Edward Vacuums in Germany, or even closer home, we work with Adani, Tata, and 30 plus other large enterprises who trust Custiv to scale their manufacturing chains reliably. This is both for precision manufacturing and fabrication services. We have a network of over 1,400 partner facilities across India, and Custiv matches your unique manufacturing needs with the best fit suppliers from around India to help you innovate faster, reduce your capex expenses, and improve operational efficiencies. Custiv is also backed by Whiteboard Capital, who is one of the leading investors present in India. In today's session, we'll be talking about why is India becoming the go-to region for supply chain capabilities for the global manufacturing chain. Then we'll be talking about how the manufacturing chain has evolved in India itself. We are seeing a lot of push from the government, from industry bodies, and of course our own ecosystem. And because of that, there's certain aspects where the Indian ecosystem shines, especially for foreign companies that want to source from India. We'll also, to help you navigate all of the changing policies, we'll be sharing with you some critical touch points that you should be in touch with if you're thinking of expanding your operations in India, and then also give you highlights of some of the emerging regions. With that, I want to hand over to Maqsood. He'll be giving a brief of what is changing in India and why is everyone looking here, what are the hotspots, and from there we'll be taking the conversation forward. Please remember, at any point in time, you can send us your questions through either the chat option or the question and answer option, which you'll be seeing in the menu or below the screen. And if at any point in time you're not able to hear any of us clearly, just drop in a message and we'll get things fixed for you. So let's get started. Hey Maqsood, are you with us?
Yes, Gunjan. Thanks a lot for that introduction. Thanks a lot for that detailed introduction.
Welcome
awesome.
We're really excited to hear from you.
Yes, superb. Welcome everyone who is joined today for the webinar. I hope I'm loud and clear. If at all, at any point, you guys face issues in audio or video, please feel free to drop in the chat box and we'll quickly fix it. But I think overall, Gunjan, you've set the right context as to what are the opportunities in Indian supply chain and how India is at the right place and right timing for helping a lot of Western, and US, European companies to shift their supply chain to India. So let me just briefly touch upon 3 points, right, on why India, right? What are these factors that is enabling for anybody to move their supply chain to India? Before I go in detail for regarding each of these points, I'll set some context. So overall, India's manufacturing sector is riding the tailwinds arising from a Western shift in interests away from China. As a result, large conglomerates from sectors like electronics, renewable energy, and automobiles have expressed their intent to set up manufacturing in the country. The rupturing of the global value chain, or as we call it GVCs, during the pandemic gave the West an opportunity to look away from China towards the countries such as India, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Mexico. And, unlike these East Asian economies, India offers the prospect of a large local market, which makes the decision to set up local manufacturing units in India easier for foreign firms. One of the most important factor that I want to highlight here, which has changed the business landscape in India, has drastically improved in the last decade or so. That is one of the biggest reasons that why any company should consider India as their preferred supply chain destination. If you look at a report as per Economist, right, India's overall position in the ease of doing business when it comes to political environment, macroeconomic environment, market opportunities, taxes, financing. So overall business landscape in India has drastically improved. The second most important factor that I want to highlight right now when it comes to why India is the working age population. And as the working age population in India is set to grow rapidly, which is expected to expand to almost $100 million in the period to 2030, pushing it comfortably past $1 billion, while that of China will fall by 40 million to under 950 million. Now, India's median age is above 28.4 years, compares with that of 38.4 years in China. Absorbing additional labor supply creates a strong incentive for the government to develop the manufacturing sector. And as any company is looking at India as the preferred manufacturing destination, unlike any of these East Asian economies, the strong local domestic market, which is fueled by the growth of working age population, will be a very important factor for any companies to consider moving to India. I think the third most important point that we should be talking about, or we should be highlighting, is the massive improvement that has happened in infrastructure, taxation, and trade rules. To highlight some of the major important points, India's regulatory guidelines on labor have traditionally been complex, but a major simplification in 2019-20 that amalgamated 29 pieces of labor legislation into 4 comprehensive labor codes has driven improvements. And then we know about National Logistics Policy unveiled in September 2022 is reducing transport-related challenges and improve the cost competitiveness of the manufacturer. If India has to, integrate with the global value chain, and a lot of policy initiatives, a lot of policy enhancements is fueling this drive and fueling this growth. And also with minimum wage norms not being prevalent across Indian industries, the cost of labor, particularly for low-end manufacturing, is likely to remain modest. And also, one of the very important point to note is that India is the only single market that offers a potential scale comparable to that of China. And then there are a variety of schemes like the PLI schemes, production-linked incentive schemes from the government plans to convert India into a global manufacturing hub. Today, PLI schemes are almost operational in about 14 sectors of the economy. So I think overall, as the West is increasingly looking towards India to friend-shore its supply chain, it is imperative that we double down on advantage of a large domestic market, macroeconomic stability, and policy consistencies. And these are all the areas that India offers as an advantage for any company to looking to move their supply chain to India. And we already, talked about three major points on why India today. Let's just briefly touch upon what are the major tailwinds that are reducing barriers for entry, which is fueled by government initiatives for domestic and international companies, technology adoptions, advancements and adoption of Industry 4.0. For example, Custiv is at the forefront of driving this digital adoption in the manufacturing sector and making the entire manufacturing ecosystem more tech savvy and providing the capabilities of manufacturing facilities at the fingertips. And there's also growing middle class with disposable income. So overall, if I have to touch upon each of these points briefly, there are various government initiatives. I already talked about PLI schemes. There are various government initiatives like Make in India, which are acting as a catalyst, creating a more conducive business environment with streamlined regulations and attractive incentives for investors. This is not only attracting domestic companies, but also attracting foreign companies to set up manufacturing bases in India. And there's also a lot of technological advancements that are playing a transformative role when it comes to automation, robotics, and the adoption of Industry 4.0 principles are enhancing efficiency and productivity within factories. For example, Custiv is at the forefront of driving technology adoption when it comes to digitizing the Indian small and medium manufacturing facilities and putting them at a global map. And a burgeoning domestic market, which is fueled by a rising middle class with increasing disposable income, is creating significant demand for high quality manufactured goods. The growing demand, coupled with the youthful and tech savvy workforce, presents a unique opportunity for India to not only cater to its own needs, but also become a major exporter in the global market. And as we talked about why India and what are all the major tailwinds that is also reducing barriers for entry to come to India, let us also understand that how India is strategically placed and how India is a strategic location to become a regional hub of distribution. When I say that India's strategic location makes it a regional hub of distribution, we're talking about the position of India at a global map and how India's location at the head of the Indian Ocean is of strategic importance, and it connects with almost every major region, whether it is Middle East, whether it is Europe and West Africa from the western coast, and Southeast Asia and East Asia from the eastern coast. Now India's transit sea routes also connects with Europe and East Asia. And also the country has the second largest road network and fourth largest rail network in the world and has 7 international airports. So today, building anything from India to the world has become much more easier, right? India is strategically positioned to almost all parts of India, all parts of the world. And India has also, built up a very fantastic infrastructure in terms of the logistics policy and other various policies, which is making it easier for the global trade to happen. And for any country, to become integrated more into the global value chain, the ease of doing global trade has to be facilitated. And that's what I think the strategic location of India makes it easy for any countries to come and set up their manufacturing base in India. And I think we already talked about how India is strategically placed as a location to make it as a factory for the world. I'll now call upon Naveen to talk about what are all the industrial belts that are emerging across the countries and how you can leverage these industrial belts to get your manufacturing done or to get your manufacturing set up across India. I hope, Naveen, you are with us, and over to you, Naveen, to talk about various manufacturing locations within India and how they can cater to the global demand, and especially to European supply chains, whether it is when it comes to plastics, precision parts, fabrication, electronics manufacturing, where one should look at coming to India and how one should leverage India's manufacturing ecosystem. Over to you, Naveen, to talk about the same.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Maqsood. So, while we are on the topic of discussing how the global value chains are shifting and how we are looking at other countries apart other from China to as a destination for manufacturing, meantime in India we have witnessed the emergence of various regional clusters, each specializing in serving various industries and developing unique capabilities and innovations. I'd like to highlight some of this most significant clusters in our country. Starting from north, we have our NCR region manufacturing ecosystem, which covers Noida, Greater Noida, Yamini Expressway, which happens to be a largest electronics hub in the country. It contributes to almost 40% of the total mobile manufacturing here. Near to that, we have Gurugram, Bhiwadi, Nirmana along NH48 highway, which happens to be the oldest and largest auto ecosystem in the country, which contributes to 50% of the four-wheeler auto components that you manufacture and around about 35% of the two-wheelers components that you see in the country. Then you have the entire state of Gujarat, which has growing which has been growing at incredible speeds. Various industrial pockets inside that, be it Ahmedabad, Vadodara, Rajkot, Jamnagar, all of this emerges as the premier manufacturing destination for petroleum engineering, oil and gas components, auto clusters, and it is very well connected for trade overseas because it has a wonderful coastline which enables ports and a trade very easy. Then you have Maharashtra, which houses Mumbai, has the financial capital and the ports which are accessible in Mumbai, which facilitates a lot of trade, and it connects with Pune, which is pretty nearby from Mumbai, which happens to be an engineering cluster already housing various European, American, and Asian OEMs uh, and connecting their supply chains there. Then you have our Silicon Valleys of India, which is Bangalore and Hyderabad, housing the largest, around 400, 500 MNCs in the country. Bangalore is an aerospace manufacturing hub making precise components. Hyderabad is into pharma, biotech, and again, that too is an aerospace hub. Then going a bit south, we have Chennai, which is famously called as Detroit of India. uh, Again, very accessible to the ports and also has been dominantly working to serve automotive customer base here and overseas. So all in all, what we are witnessing is the growth and emergence of very strong manufacturing clusters, and the ecosystems in these clusters are very much capable of providing the right kind of solutions that the customers like yourself are looking for. Now, in developing these capabilities, in developing this ecosystem, we have the ecosystem has built strong benefits to bring in and cater to such products, which starts from specialized infrastructure, specialized plants. What do I mean by that? It is focused factories, highly advanced machineries, which is forging hammers, your state of the art machining centers, special purpose machines to cater to specific components. And this allows the entire ecosystem to provide a very tailor-made solution to the companies who are willing to shift their supply chains to the country. Again, coupled with an highly educated workforce, which maintains a high integrity of standard in terms of quality and process, is also noticed, We have seen excellent improvement in terms of process adherence to meet aerospace, to meet oil and gas, and to meet automotive standards of manufacturing. Again, Custiv here is at the forefront of developing and digitizing such technology, which makes it easier for companies sitting overseas to access and have a peek into what sort of processes and quality management system these factories have. Now, speaking more about the ecosystem, in the entire value chain of manufacturing, we are talking about raw material, we are talking about the manufacturing process itself, combined with finishing, combined with any sort of process, which includes packaging, which includes transportation. All of this is very well built in the ecosystem or in the industrial cluster that we see today, or which I've highlighted earlier. We, our manufacturing partners and has proven the processes at individual nodes of the supply chain, provides that sort of transparency to the customer, and it is ensured that the quality throughout the value chain, throughout the supply chain, stays constant. That is the sort of sub supplier network, or how the ecosystem has been functioning. And then touching upon the pricing point of view, uh, we have been proven, or we have witnessed that India as a ecosystem has been incredibly competitive, even for complex parts, high engineering components, thanks to the infrastructure that is individual manufacturing ecosystems have developed. Now, the biggest advantage uh, in working with Indian manufacturing partners is the communication part, the transparency part. We are speaking about the second largest English speaking population compared to other international partners. We have that fluency, we have that problem solving attitude, that transparency, that communication, that level of trust that we want to build within our customers, so that we allow convenience in terms of working with manufacturing partners, and also effectively communicate all the challenges and solve them. Now, moving from there, now a lot of efforts here is built by the Indian government is working very hard to create a business environment favorable for all. It means it means getting cheap industrial land, which is cleared at large scale, including roads, rail links, and ports. It has greatly improved over the last few years. In the recent years, the Indian government has implemented a host of financial incentives for companies that wants to manufacture in India. Now, there are various schemes. I'll just briefly touch upon few points here, which includes, incentives based on activity. These are designed for all manufacturers and producers who produce enough. They offer a tax deduction of up to 150% on research and development, combined with funding for imports of materials, and uh, and also eligible for exemption from paying import duties. We have also declared, the government has also declared various special economic zones to incentivize, to offer exemptions from import duties, from excise duty, from service taxes, which makes the cost of production go low, which improves the ease of doing business, which improves the transportation part, and encourages manufacturers to further deal with customers who are willing to shift their supply chain to India. Then there is investment based incentives, which is on machineries, which is capital subsidy, which is on the total project or cost for the companies. This is on, for example, on the machineries and the capital front, we are seeing 20 to 25% subsidy. On the total project cost, we are seeing 50 to 75% of the subsidy. So we are talking about a lot of investment based incentives as well for people wanting to set up the shop here. Then coming down on a deeper level, there are various state incentives which changes from state to state, but all with the specific mission to encourage manufacturing within this industrial clusters, reducing the taxes, the stamp duty, easing the permissions needed to set up a factory. All of this is adding to, the promotion of manufacturing in this at a state level and a regional level. Then we are talking about a lot of production linked incentives, which is both local and for foreign companies, which can aim to create local industrial capacity, attract foreign direct investments, and create employment opportunity for all involved or all the stakeholders involved. Now, this is the strength that our Indian manufacturing ecosystem carries, double down with the incentives and the push the Indian government has been giving the manufacturing sector to promote all sorts of growth. I will again ask Maqsood here on how to understand and to explain it further on how do we enter India? How does a companies think of entering India, and what is the way forward there?
Thanks a lot, Naveen. That was very informative, giving a overall overview to our audience about what is the entire manufacturing ecosystem in India looking like, and where one should look for what kind of products to be manufactured, and what are all the policy initiatives, what are all the reforms that's happening within India that is enhancing for any company to come and set up their manufacturing base in India, and how India can provide a best manufacturing supply chain destination for any companies that want to get their parts manufactured here. So now I'll talk about briefly couple of mechanisms which facilitates market entry to India. So overall, the central and state government of India has been has been welcoming investments and have dedicated mechanisms, authorities and agencies to facilitate the investor at each stage of the investment, grounding process and actually. Now let's talk about the India missions. So overall, Government of India has 162 missions across the world. The Trade and Investment Division at Indian missions is responsible for investment promotion and facilitation. Indian missions hold seminars and investor interactions at regular intervals for dissemination of investment opportunities within India. Now, there are also certain key ministries for business matters, because the overall objective is that because of fueled by a stable government, because of fueled by a lot of macroeconomic factors, the whole objective is to increase the ease of doing business in India, for which matter there has been certain key ministries set up for business matters. One is Trade, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, or DPIIT, right, what we call as Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, which also manages important national missions such as Make in India, Startup India, and so on. Then there is taxation, right? There's a lot of schemes like PLI schemes and various other benefits, right, in sectors like semiconductor industry, right, where the Government of India is enabling a lot of policy to to bring investments in emerging sectors like semiconductor, renewable, and so on. Recently, if you read a news, Zoho, one of the companies in India, is also planning to do about $200 billion worth of investment into setting up a semiconductor plant in India. And out of that, 50% of that is actually financed by the government. So at some point, we also have plans of vertically integrating the supply chains and providing this state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities or capabilities to our customers. And then there is Ministry of External Affairs and Ministry of Home Affairs, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Foreign Exchange. All of these ministries is helping, facilitating the ease of doing business in India and market entry into India much easier. All of these organizations, and there's also various line of ministries. So over 30 ministries are responsible for policy formulation and development of aligned sectors. Lot of importance is given to renewable energy, semiconductor, and advanced technologies. These are the sectors that India is targeting a lot to integrate into the global value chain. And there are several ministries at central level offer attractive fiscal incentive packages, such as Ministry of Food Processing, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology to facilitate investments in the sector. And there are certain other ministries which also gives grants for development of sector-specific industrial facilities, such as plastic parks by Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers, and textile parks by Ministry of Textiles. And all of these organizations have dedicated websites and provide informations pertaining to their function, structure, and mode of conduct. So you can go to these ministries, these organizations' website and find more information. But overall, to summarize, a lot of policy reforms have been implemented to make market entry into India easier, right? So India wants to integrate more into the global value chain, and there's a lot of emphasis given on advanced sectors like renewable energy, semiconductors. So a lot of these mechanisms has been set up, and I think one should make use of these mechanisms to facilitate the market entry into India. Now, let me talk about how to explore entering Indian market with Custiv, because for any company based out of Europe, based out of US, if you're looking at China +1, if you're looking at Europe +1, where you're looking at an alternative supply chain destinations to also get your parts made, also get your goods manufactured. India can be an attractive destination, but it can be a complex task. It can be a to navigate through the entire ecosystem, to navigate through the working with the challenges of Indian manufacturers. It can be a complex task, and that's where I think Custiv has been helping more than 30 to 40 plus companies, global companies. There is a lot of domestic, category A companies that we have been working with. Other than that, we have been working with a lot of global companies in helping them shift their supply chain from China to India or Europe to India, or make India as their prime manufacturing destination. So how we work is that we have a network of more than 600 plus manufacturing facilities. So we work through an aggregator, or we are a contract manufacturing platform where we have more than 600 plus manufacturing facilities across variety of technologies, from general steel fabrication, equipment fabrication, precision machining, casting, forging, plastic injection molding. So we aggregate all of that capabilities and bring that capabilities to variety of industries. Now, if you are a new player that is making entry into India, or if you're a new player that is wanting to enter India for your supply chain needs, it can be a daunting task, right? From identifying the right manufacturing facility which can be a suitable fit for you. You may have variety of requirements in the form of certification, volumes, quality expectations, going to find these manufacturing facility, evaluating them, collecting all the data points, running audits, and placing sample order, getting your product made, going into production. It can be a complex and daunting task, and that's where we have made it easier, the entire process, with the entire end-to-end technology-based platform. Think of ordering something in Amazon, right? How easy it is that you can discover so many suppliers, you can discover so many vendors, compare their capabilities, make a decision, sit back, relax, the goods reach your doorstep. That's a similar kind of luxury that we want to build into working with the Indian manufacturing ecosystem. So all these manufacturing facilities that we have onboarded into our platform, we collect more than 250 plus data points. What kind of equipment they have, what kind of products they are working with, who have been their customer, what quality certifications they have, right? All of these capabilities that we have mapped out into our platform. So whenever we get requirements from customers like you, the first thing that the platform does is, through its matchmaking algorithm, that selects you the best supply chain from the available network of manufacturing facilities that we have. It may be for manufacturing one-off component, or it may be for manufacturing an entire product itself. For example, we work with a lot of customers in US and Europe where we do complete contract manufacturing of the product. From aggregating a lot of child parts development to having a dedicated assembly shop where we own the complete contract manufacturing and assembly of these components, and export it to US and European markets, where the entire ownership is maintained by Custiv, and we provide you a platform where we provide complete visibility and transparency as to what is happening in your supply chain. whether your products are made in one factory or whether your products are made in 10 to 15 different factories. You can, at the power of single login, you can just log into our dashboard, see what's actually happening in the supply chain, whether raw material has come, how many parts are manufactured, when the quality inspection is going to be cleared, when the quality inspection is going to be cleared, when the parts are going to reach your doorstep. The complete visibility and transparency is provided through a Custiv's end-to-end contract manufacturing platform. So for any companies that want to explore India's manufacturing ecosystem, India's manufacturing ecosystem can provide you a lot of capabilities. India's manufacturing ecosystem can provide you a lot of different technologies for you to work with. But to navigate to this entire ecosystem, work with the Indian manufacturers can be challenging, and that's where we make it easier, right? It's an entire end-to-end tech platform that makes it easier from just you placing an RFQ till the entire product reaches your doorstep. We help you identify the right supply chain, which is the supply chain. We audit those facilities. We enable you to audit those facilities through our tech platform. And we also give you a complete transparency and visibility through your entire supply chain from day one, right? From placing an RFQ till the products are reaching your doorstep. And we have been doing this for variety of customers, companies that are about $200, $300 million size to companies that are about $20 billion worth of size, right? And we have moved supply chains worth $100K to supply chains worth about $7-8 million from China to India, from Europe to India, or whether it is your new product development, looking at India as a manufacturing destination, we have moved the complete supply chain. So for any companies that is looking for India as a destination for their supply chain needs, I think we provide a great platform and we provide a great gateway for you to work with the Indian manufacturing ecosystem, for you to leverage the capabilities of thousands of Indian manufacturing facilities at your fingertips through a simple tech-based platform. So I think overall, we have covered a lot of points in this webinar, starting from why India, why there is a shift happening from China +1, Europe +1, why a lot of companies are looking at India as a manufacturing supply chain destination, what are all the macroeconomic factors, what are the policies that is driving this change. Then we had Naveen talking about what are the different belts that we should look for different kinds of technologies or products, and what are all the how an Indian manufacturing ecosystem is geared up to deliver to the expectation of the Western supply chains. And then I also briefed you about how Custiv is providing this platform to make it easier for you. You need not worry about coming to India and setting up your supply chain. That we are the gateway for you to help you through this entire journey, from whether you want to work with one part or want to work with millions of parts, how Custiv can provide a platform. I think overall we have briefly covered a variety of points. Over to you, Gunjan, and happy to answer any specific questions from the audience with respect to opportunities in Indian supply chains, Indian SMEs ecosystem, manufacturing ecosystem, or how Custiv works in specific. Happy to answer any questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Maqsood. I think that, and Naveen, that was a brilliant overview of how the manufacturing landscape is evolving. While you guys were speaking, I was taking down some notes to summarize the entire discussion. But hey, Maqsood, thanks for making my life easy. You really did a fantastic job at it. We are seeing some questions come up on the question answer section. So we'll quickly try to take them one by one. We have one question that has come in which says, is India a good source for industrial pump components? Are there suppliers with quality standards to meet EU requirements? I think, Naveen, you want to take that up?
Yes.
Yes. We have very good ecosystems which can cater to the manufacturing of industrial pumps, and that too from small size to incredibly large pumps as well. Yes, these manufacturing partners I'm talking about are expertised in adhering to the EU standards. These partners have developed quality management processes to meet the EU standards, procure the raw material as per the European standards, be it importing it or be it getting tested as per the EU standards. And Yes, we can very well cater to such requirements, be it from the belt, western belt, like I explained in Gujarat, or we have southern belts based out of Chennai, Coimbatore, etc., where the possible options can be looked at.
I think Gunjan, I would like to add a couple of points here. Not only we can help any European companies, industrial pumps company, pumps and valves company coming, looking to come to India and look for their supply chains. Not only we can help them see the supply chains, we can also develop vendors as per their expectations. So in one of our case studies, we had a specific need of developing PD certified vendors, right? Which is for a specific industrial applications, oil and gas, nuclear application. We had some fantastic vendors who had the right technical capabilities, but there were sometimes, certain certification missing. So we have developed these vendors, invested in those certifications, and taken them from a journey of making one sample to doing the complete mass production or serial production. So I think there is a fantastic ecosystem in India that can cater to the needs of European pumps and valves manufacturers, and Custiv can provide this ecosystem, and Custiv can also develop this ecosystem for many of these companies.
Right. I think yes. So answering that question, there is a strong ecosystem of industrial pump components manufacturing in India that specializes with adhering standards to the European Union. And I think this ranges from both small scale manufacturing as well as large volume batch manufacturing as well. We have another question that has come in, and I think Maqsood, Naveen, both of you can take turn answering it. The question reads: there are often barriers while working with local suppliers in foreign countries. For example, language barriers, cultural barriers, etc. So, how do international companies can approach tackling these challenges? I think that's a very interesting question for someone looking to expand supply chains abroad.
Right. So I think I'll briefly give an answer. Maybe Naveen can add a couple of points to it, right? So when working with any foreign supply chain, language can be a critical barriers, right? Because especially when you talk about country like India, there are more than hundreds of languages, right? You go to each state, there is a different language that is spoken, widely spoken over there, and that's the kind of ecosystem, that's the kind of vendors that you'll find. Uh, I think we briefly touched upon this point already in our previous slides. One is that India has the almost it's a very huge English speaking working population, right? That compared to a country like China, India provides that as a better platform to work with European or US companies, where we can resolve the language barrier as well. Second, sometimes working with these manufacturing facilities because of the language problem can be a very challenging task. That's where an aggregator like Custiv comes into the picture, right? We already have many facilities across India with all sort of capabilities mapped into our platform, pre-vetted, audited, and developed into our ecosystem. And we, as a new age tech-based manufacturing company, we have dedicated account managers, we have dedicated project managers who are well versed in English, who are well versed in communications, who can handle all of your requirements and working with the Indian manufacturers as well, right? And that's where we make it through a tech-based platform easier for you to interact with the entire ecosystem, because you need not go and interact with each of these manufacturers separately, right? We make that happen. So we have a dedicated team. We have a team in Germany, we have a team in US, and we have a fantastic team in India who is bridging this gap of language barriers and sitting in between, acting as an aggregator and providing the capabilities to you. And I think overall, these are the 2 points I want to highlight. Maybe Naveen can add some points to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, Pretty much the advantages or the barriers of entry as communication is a huge concern for companies willing to shift their supply chains to the country. But then again, as Maqsood was saying, the workforce in these manufacturing clusters or in the ecosystem or the regions, they are highly educated. They are English speaking workforce, and they are pretty fluent in such communication is the number one point which I would like to highlight. Second is where a company like Custiv adds value to this entire thing as an aggregator, connecting the manufacturer from the grassroots level, understanding communications, understanding issues from them, communicating it through our teams, and finally relaying it to the customer through various processes that we have, making it convenient is the answer here, is the value that we bring onto the table. Right. So combined these two things, I think pretty much I am a little boastful in saying that communication as such should not be an issue for companies who are willing to move their supply chains into our country.
Interesting. There's another question which we received. Um, does Custiv work directly with global procurement offices, or is any physical presence required in India?
So we directly work with a lot of global procurement offices, right? There is no need for a physical presence required in India. That's the beauty of the solutions that we are developing, right? You can be in any part of the world, log into our systems, and can, leverage the entire manufacturing ecosystem, all through a digital platform. So we act as that gateway to work with the Indian manufacturers, Indian manufacturing ecosystem, and many of our customers in US, in Europe, they all have global offices and they do not have a supply chain office in India, right? And we've helped them shift their supply chains from China, Europe to India, and work with the Indian manufacturers.
Got it. Awesome. I think those were the main questions that we have had. I think some of the questions that have come in, we'll be answering offline. We'll be reaching out to you directly. For the people who stayed with us right till then, thank you so much. I hope you had a few, if not a lot of interesting takeaways from us. We are planning to do this session once every month so that we're able to curate the latest insights of what's happening in India manufacturing for you, simplify it and present it to you. We'd love to hear from you on how we can make this session much more engaging and much more informative. So do reach out to me personally. You can connect with me on LinkedIn or through email. My email ID is gunjan@custiv.com. I'll share coordinates for Maqsood and Naveen as well. But for more info, do follow us on our social media platforms on LinkedIn, and we'll be happy to assist you in exploring supply chain opportunities in India. I guess that's it for today. We'll hope we see you again in the next sessions that's to follow. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you so much, everyone. See you soon.
Thank you so much.